Hey, welcome back, Mill Creek community. We're back for another episode of the Mill Creek podcast, and I have two awesome guests with me today. I have Sawyer Rodriguez and Ms Vanderpool. And why don't we just start with you introducing yourselves? Sawyer, go ahead.
Sawyer, I'm a senior at Mill Creek. I'm in Cutter's film class, and yeah.
All right, Ms Vanderpool.
I'm Kelly Vanderpool. I am the College and Career Specialist at Mill Creek High School. I work in the counseling office, and glad to be here.
All right, so today what we're going to be talking about primarily is students getting into college and how are they going to pay for that. This should be relevant to both students and parents. And Ms Vanderpool, you deal a lot with college scholarships and other matters related to that. And our last episode we were talking about college, and we were talking about what students need to be doing from the 9th grade all the way up to senior year, and what that process looks like, trying to help people prepare for that, because it's a huge time in people's lives when they're trying to get prepared for what they want to do after high school. And so tell me what your office does, what a typical day looks like in your office.
Okay, well, my office is kind of unique in the counseling office because I work with students on an appointment basis that want to come see me. And so typically when a student comes in to make an appointment with me, they want to talk about colleges and they want to discuss their options. We do application questions. But senior year, like what Sawyer is, the main thing is, I've applied to this college. I've applied to 5 colleges. I'm hoping that I'm going to get into them. How am I going to pay for it? My parents are saying we can't, afford this or that. So what I really like to do is to take each college with each student and break it down, because you've got to compare apples to apples. You compare the tuition you look at on the website, that's kind of like a sticker price. There's lots of ways to get that price down, but we just start from there and we look at all the different options on how to get them to be able to afford the college and what options you can take out to pay for the college.
Okay. Sawyer, what's your thoughts on college? You're going to be making decisions here really soon, so talk to me about that.
College is kind of like, it's almost like a beast, kind of like, you got to be careful how you approach it, because with college, especially if you want to get a good school like FSU, I can't use Hope or Zell or anything like that.
Right.
So you always have to weigh those options, especially should I stay in state because it might be cheaper if I get Zell or Hope, or should I go maybe get some loans to go to this college? I think it depends on the person, but it's always particular. And like you said, maybe talking with you might help too.
All right, so have you been discussing this stuff with your parents?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, we've been talking about it a lot, especially,
Well, I just remember being a senior in high school and not talking about this stuff as much as I should have. And my parents would ask me questions and they would try to get me to fill out scholarship opportunities, and I was just dragging my feet.
Right.
And I don't know what it was, but
It's scary. And even as a parent, I think parents need to be honest with their students and their children and say, either this is what we can afford, this is what we can't afford, this is where you can look. I mean, we don't want to squash their dreams or anything, but you also have to be realistic on
you gotta be realistic.
The options out there. It's difficult. It's a difficult conversation, but if you're upright and forthcoming with it, then it makes the whole process a lot easier. But it is true, like all the students that come in my office, they want to go out of state. I mean, it's just, there's that draw of just, leaving and just going out of state, and it's a hard conversation to have when you can stay in the state of Georgia and get the Hope or the Zell and have 100% of your tuition paid for, weighing the cost of going out of state and having a premium on the tuition of at least $15,000 to $20,000 more just from being out of state. So it's a tough conversation.
Yeah. So I was surprised being a senior in. Actually, it was before my senior year in college, but I was going to have to take some summer school classes to be able to graduate in 4 years.
Right.
I think a lot of people, they think of college and think, well, I'll graduate in 4 years. That's actually probably rare these days.
It's very rare. Yeah, even the University of Georgia, when they tout their graduation rates, they're touting a 5 to 6 year student plan.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not even 4 years. So kids that, like my son's about to graduate in 4 years, and it's a huge deal. I mean, it's a huge accomplishment. It's just, it's hard to do nowadays.
I thought 4 years was just the norm.
It's not
Wow.
anymore. It used to be. I mean, I went to college and I graduated in 4 years, but I went every summer. So
Right.
you really are tacking on another year.
Yeah, and that's with like one major.
Right.
If you have like a double major or a minor and a major,
Yeah, you're gonna
then,
add more onto it.
Yeah, and when we're talking about tuition prices, they just keep going up. and
Yeah,
up and
Right.
it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I like what you said about parents being honest with their students. I
Right.
mean, they have to be realistic, and
Have that conversation.
I tell you, I hear about students. They have so much. They act like their whole life is on the line in terms of where they attend college.
Absolutely.
But I try to tell them, hey, it is a big deal, but
Right.
it's not everything.
No.
And it's a great way to further your education, but after you get your first real job,
Right.
it's that job experience that people
Absolutely.
really care about.
Right.
And so eventually people quit asking you where you went to college.
You're
they don't
exactly
care.
right. They don't care.
So people, where it is a big deal and they need to do everything they can to try to get into a good school because it does matter.
Right.
It doesn't have to be like a life or death situation.
I mean, yeah, like a lot of times I see people talk about like, I need to get, like, I remember when Georgia was rolling around, so many people were so disappointed, like they were heartbroken that they
Right.
get into the Georgia. But it's like, you can always go back like 2 years later, reapply.
Absolutely. A lot easier to get in then. And it truly, and I feel like part of it is our culture and our society. Like as parents, we're pushing this down on our kids. Like this is what we want you to do. This is where you need to go. This is where, everyone's going. And it's not realistic like that anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about that option of going to maybe a local college or university that's a
Oh.
little more cost effective for 2 years and getting
Absolutely.
core classes out of the way.
Well, and where we are in Gwinnett County, we are at a prime location because we have UNG Gainesville and Oconee right at our doorstep. And a lot of people don't realize, like, if you go to UNG, you can get a bachelor's degree or you can get an associate's degree. And the fact that they offer both is amazing because your first year to 2 years, you're taking core classes. So if a student comes to me and they really want to go to the University of Georgia, then what I like to talk to them about is, if you're willing to live at home those first 2 years, which a lot of kids aren't, and I get that, but if you are, go to UNG Gainesville or UNG Oconee and go in the associate program because the tuition's about $1,000 less a semester. You're taking all the same classes, and UNG is very good about working with those students on the associate path they know that they want to go eventually to the bachelor's program, so they're streamlining their classes to take, and then they just seamlessly transfer over into the bachelor's program. So that's a very cost-effective way to do it.
Yeah.
And you hear the phrase all the time, it doesn't matter where you start, it matters where you finish. So
Yeah,
why
that's true.
not? I mean, especially if you're willing to live at home, because your housing, room and board is half of your expenditure for the year. It's very expensive. Sometimes it's more expensive than the tuition.
Yeah.
So you can save a lot of money, and especially if you're planning on going to get your master's or, if you're going into med school, save the money on the front end to spend it on the back end when you're paying for these high dollar master's programs. So
Yeah.
being in Gwinnett County, UNG is a great opportunity to be able to take the same classes that you would even be taking on UNG Dahloneg's campus for, 40% less tuition dollars.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sawyer, as a high school senior, do you think about the cost of college and what it would be like to graduate with student loan debt and stuff? Does that any of that cross your mind?
Oh, all the time. Especially because I want to go into film. That's a career was not certain you'll ever make it, or you even won't make money for a long time. And so I remember I was reading these articles. I remember this guy in the industry. He was telling all these students, don't go into debt over a film degree. Go into debt over something else. And so it's like with FSU, I might not be able to go because of the outside tuition, and it might be smarter to start in Atlanta and start there because it's cheaper because I can go for Zell and Hope. So I always consider those things. I'm going to keep that in mind.
Yeah, it's a good thing to keep in mind. With film, like, there are so many options.
Right.
Like, you could literally go start working it
Right.
and get your just on-set experience and try to work your way up from there.
Right.
If you do go to college, then you're getting a degree, which then you can apply for other jobs that you
Right.
might not be able to apply for. So there's just a million different options with film. But I guess what we tell people is like, hey, do your homework depending on what you're trying to do, there's
Right.
different options.
And your circumstances. I mean, there are people that, the sky's the limit, they can afford whatever, and then if, you just have to, it's an individual case for everybody.
Yeah. So you can't just do what your friends are doing.
No,
what,
no.
what you feel that, because, I mean, you mentioned that before. Sometimes people have a hard time going the cost-effective route, the 2-year local college because all their friends are going to the 4-year
so there's
university
there's
and
like
stuff.
pressure
But,
almost.
hey, those years go quick, and then you're going to have to deal with the cost attached to that education, and it is better to think about it now, consider all those options, than graduate with $100,000
absolutely.
of debt. So,
So I mean, any type of student. I typically love working with juniors because juniors, you can help guide them the next 2 years. Seniors that are coming in right now, they're like, I don't know what I'm going to do. That kind of worries me. And sometimes I'm like, well, we need to really speed it up because applications are due, FAFSA's due, all that kind of stuff.
what's FAFSA?
So FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid. It's a very important document. A lot of schools require it. Not every school requires it. It's the way for Georgia students to get the HOPE and the Zell. And it's just basically, it's like an online income tax return. I say it's easy to fill out. It takes about an hour, but you have to do it with your student and your parent. But it is your gateway to see what types of loans you qualify for. Lots of schools use it for scholarship opportunities. So it's very important. It's something you do every October. You do it every year that you're in college. And that's something else that we do in our office. We will help students. By no means are we financial planners, but we can sit there and help students kind of get through that application online.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, does your office also coordinate the college visits?
We do. So we have, every year we have several colleges that come in and want to meet our students because Mill Creek has a great reputation for having high-flying students. So colleges will call and say that they want to either set up a private visit, which is where we advertise it, and the students get a pass to come in. So sorry. And they meet one-on-one with the admissions rep.
Oh, wow.
And then sometimes we do it where the colleges are sitting in the commons area and they just stop by their table to ask them questions. But it's a great time to get to know these admission reps because they're actually the ones that are reading these applications. They can't make or break your decision, but if you've got 2 students that are the exact same student and you have one spot, if that admission rep knows you, he can slide your application into one pile versus the other. He's not going to trump you over someone that's more qualified, but getting to know that person, they'll answer questions, they'll get back with your emails, they give their cell phone numbers. So it's a great opportunity to get that one-on-one with these admission reps.
Okay. Sawyer, I'm going to put you on the spot. What
Okay.
kind of questions would you ask an admissions rep that comes to Mill Creek? Like you go up to the table at lunch, and what type of things would you be asking?
Well, man, that's a tough one. You are putting me on the spot. I guess the first thing I would ask is be like, honestly, I would ask them, I would ask them, what's your honest opinion about the college? What is good and what do you not like about it? Really.
That's a good question.
So
What do
try
you
to
not like about it?
get rid of that sales pitch they're trying to do and actually talk with them one-on-one, what they like and what they don't like about it.
And it probably depends on who the person is, whether they are honest with
Yeah.
you about some of those things. But some people are that honest, where they'll
Right.
say, well, maybe our college costs quite a bit more, but here's what you're getting out of that kind of a thing. But I mean, number one thing has to be like, do you offer the program
Yeah.
that
Right.
I'm interested in? Because I mean, it kind of has to start there, I would think, with
Yeah,
students. It's
yeah.
like, hey, this is the direction I'm going in, if they have a direction. And then you just got to find the colleges that have a good reputation, that have that major.
For it, yeah.
Now, I'm sure there are a lot of kids who they just don't know what they want to do.
Oh, absolutely. And that's fine. And I mean, that's, these kids are 18 years old. They don't have to know what they want to do the rest of their life. Sawyer, you're lucky that you already know that. But, most people have no idea. And that's what college is about, is you go and you take core classes, but then you take classes in other types of things that you've never been exposed to. You meet people that you've never been exposed to that have different interests. And that's when you kind of figure out where you want to go, who you want to be, and what you want to do.
It's like the saying, I don't know what it's like, tipping your toe in the water or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, to me, that's the biggest thing about college. The other thing that we talk to students about is where's the college located? Because like Georgia State, people love downtown Atlanta. Well, there are people that don't like to be in a big city, so they wouldn't want to go to Georgia State. They'd rather go to like Georgia Southern because it's in a smaller kind of rural area. So it depends on where you want to be as well.
Yeah.
You don't want to be going to college in a downtown situation where you are afraid to be downtown.
Yeah.
So it's just, the location can...
Right. So that comes back to just college visits and how important
Absolutely.
those things are.
And that's one thing that, people don't put a lot of thought into is they're like, well, my cousin went there or I've been to a football game. They haven't visited the campus. I have had several students, which is unbelievable, come to me and say, I was a diehard wanting to go to the University of Georgia until they went to their campus and they're like, something just didn't click. It didn't feel right. And that, to me, is a testament to why you should visit the campuses.
How many times do students get to visit campuses?
They can go 2 times as a senior and have it as an excused absence.
Oh, really?
During the week. But there's also tons of opportunities on the weekends. You can go over spring break. You can go over the summer. There's lots of opportunities to do it where you're not missing class.
Gotcha. Okay. And I know it's not real common, but some people want to participate in athletics in college. So if you're going to participate in like a Division I sport or something like that, like what's different for those students?
It's a lot. It's a lot different. I mean, first of all, you're getting recruited out of high school. Your coaches are helping you. But my son plays Division II baseball at a school in Nashville, and his experience with college is unlike what I went through. Like I went to a huge college. I was in a sorority. That was my life.
Yeah.
Well, he's an athlete, so it's your school works first, but then athletics is first and a half. I mean, it's right there with it. That's your social life. That's you're working in the off season. You're working during the summers at your sport. You're working out. So it's a lot different than just playing a high school sport.
Yeah.
It becomes part of the beast.
Right. Do athletes still have to fill out those clearinghouse papers?
Oh yeah,
to participate?
and they're very you have to. And typically schools will have somebody on staff that does all the the paperwork for you. They pretty much hand you a checklist and say this is what you're missing and what you need to do.
Gotcha.
But yeah, everything has to be checked off, dotted. It's a whole business.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Sawyer, what questions would you ask Ms. Vanderpool? Do you have anything else that you want us to explain to you?
I guess what I would ask is like, when you're researching online, what would your best source be to find like the true information? Would it be like the students who went there?
About the school in general?
Yeah,
about the cost? About the school in general?
The school in general, yeah.
Well, there's lots of websites. I mean, I would first start with the school's website. Look at all that. There's something called a freshman index. I would look at. You could put like Florida State University freshman index, and it shows you basically a breakdown of GPAs, test scores and stuff about their last admitted freshman class. So that can kind of show you, am I going to be able to get into this school? I would not rely on any type of website to tell me what this school was about. I would go visit it. I mean, to me, that's the best way to do it, is you go visit it. Because a lot of it's marketing. It's all out there. It makes it all look great. You're going to find one website that says it's the best school in the country. You're going to find another website that says it's awful. So it's going to be your take on it that's going to make the decision.
It is strange. I remember going on college visits as a high school senior, and it's strange how much you can get from that experience of taking a tour. But you also get the chance to meet some students, and you could ask them the same question. Hey, what's your favorite thing about going to college here, and what are some things that you don't like, and maybe you'll get some honest answers about that. But you just get a feeling after going and being there.
Absolutely.
And if you'll go to enough college visits, then you can compare each of them. And I remember the college I ended up going to was one that it was almost by accident. I was in the area to visit one college, and I was like, well, I'm 20 minutes away. Might as well check this school out. That's the one I ended up going
and that's
to.
It. I mean,
wow.
you have to have an open mind about it. And the preconceived notion of this is a good school or a bad school, you just have to kind of push that all out of your head and figure out what's the best place for you.
Me personally, I ended up going to that school, and like people put so much stock into where their friends are going to college and stuff, but I don't speak to many people from high school anymore.
Exactly.
And you make new friends at college, and that becomes kind of your new life, and so.
Well, that always scares me when students come in and they're like, yes, I'm going to such and such college and I'm rooming with my best friend, and I'm thinking, ooh, that could not, it might not work out well. It might be better for y'all to not be roommates. But
it's hard to live with anyone.
And but you grow so much your college years.
True.
I mean, and they don't get this, but you do. You're a completely different person from when you start to when you finish.
Yeah. So parental pressure, I'm sure you see some of this through your office. And we
Yeah.
spoke about the last time we were talking about college, but do you have any remarks in terms of, parents who want the best for their kids, think they know what's best for their kids,
Right.
and the kids have their own kind of plan that they want to
Right.
pursue? What are your thoughts on that?
And I see it from both perspectives because I am a parent, and then I work in the office where I talk to parents. I just feel like as parents, we have to shut it all out too. We have to quit listening about what everyone else is doing and what Joey's sister's doing, and just really focus on our child and figure out what's the best for them. And I always try to tell parents that they all have a different path. If they start somewhere and they hate it, they can transfer. It's not the end of the world. And if they stay at home their first year, that's not anything saying that your child is not worthy of a great college experience. It's every student is different, and every student has their own path. And I think the best thing we can do for our kids is just give them just the confidence to go out there and make their own choices.
Yeah, good. Anything else that we may have left out that would be helpful to parents or students?
I'm trying to think.
Just real quick while we're thinking, Ms Vanderpool, if somebody's watching this and they would like to speak with you about more of this stuff, how can they do that?
So I'm in the counseling office. You can go on the website and go under the counseling link. Once you hit the counseling link, you go to the PAD. That's my office. It's for planning and development. I also want y'all to know that every month we have a newsletter. It's got all kinds of scholarships on there. So if you go to the counseling link, go to the PAD, go to scholarships, opportunities, I think is what it is. And we've also started a new newsletter for internship opportunities, part-time jobs, summer programs,
Nice.
just to kind of, give kids, it's called Beyond 720 to 210,
Okay.
just to give them other things to do after school, because Georgia and Georgia Tech, they're seeing such an upsurge in student applications that they're now seeing every student is a 4.0 and every student has these great SAT scores. So they're really starting to dig down into what makes that student special. So all these other types of opportunities that we have out there to community service or part-time jobs and all kinds of things like that will help their applications just stand out just a little bit better. So we
Yeah.
just try to, anything that comes through my office, I'll put in that newsletter just to give them the opportunity to kind of go over and beyond.
Well, I think that's such an important thing to do anyway, because Sawyer, I'm going to brag on him real quick. He tell her real quick about what you did with Clayton State dealing with film.
Oh, so at Clayton State, I found this program. It's called the Film and Digital Media Center, and what they do is it's this program where it's like a program breaking over like 7 months, and they pretty much teach you all about film and how to make film, and they take you into like actually what it's like being on set and making production.
Wow.
And so I was doing that right now. I directed a film about domestic abuse, and right now we're having that premiere at a film festival during May.
Amazing.
So it's always I think it's always good to try to step outside of Mill Creek and try to
Absolutely.
find your own plays.
Right.
'Cause, I mean, I just decided to try out that program. I had no idea how I would think about it, and now after taking that program, I know I want to do film.
That's great. That's amazing.
So to give students, to have the opportunity to try out what you think you want to do is so
Absolutely.
valuable.
Right.
Because even if you had done this program, found out, hey, I don't
didn't
like
like
film
it.
as much as I thought I did, well, you might just save yourself, $100,000.
Dollars going to
And
college,
4
yeah.
years, 4
Well, I
years
also
of
think it's
time.
always good to I always try to say yes to everything, because you might think you won't like it,
Right.
and then you end up loving it.
Right.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah,
Very
I
good.
mean, kids sometimes, get bored with their lives, but at this time, try out a lot of different things
Right.
and figure out what it is that you like. There's so many, even as adults, we
Right.
should still be trying out
Yeah.
new things, new hobbies, and just figuring out what other passions we might have that we haven't discovered
Absolutely.
yet. So,
Yeah, you got to step outside your box.
yeah.
Definitely.
Well, good.
You got to be, I think as the Navy SEALs says, you got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. I think that's what they say, something like
Yeah.
that.
Well, I need this pep talk because tomorrow I'm going to the Marines boot camp for educators. So that'll be,
Nice.
yeah.
Oh, wow.
They're going to make you even stronger.
Yeah. Something like that.
Well, thank you very much for tuning in to this episode. If you would like to schedule an appointment with Ms Vanderpool, come to our counseling office. Make sure to check out their website as well. And we appreciate you all joining us today.